Let's see. No pen. Okay. What do you want me to talk about today? Give me a couple of key words. Kundalini.
Something good.
God. How about Atlantis, since we've had Lemuria?
What was the first one? Yeah.
Clarity.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All in one sentence, I could weave those together. Isn't it great to have a clear Kundalini awakening? It makes you feel loved and as though you're birthing something new. And so it is. No. Okay, so we'll play with that. I also promised the folks online a topic that I'll weave these in together with. You know, it's very interesting. The time we're going through. We've been doing some very, very deep talks each week and each month. I mean, I could go back and watch a video from 8 years ago and somebody's going to go, wow, that was, they're all great. I'm wonderful. No, they're all great. They're all great for this reason. Anytime we let go and let God, what do you expect? Why would anybody even doubt that? So it's not weird for me to say that what I do is great. I'm a really good teacher, but it has nothing to do with me. It first and foremost has to do with the ability to let go. I mean, right, when you were just playing. I mean, if he sits there going, I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch, and, and gee, himself, it's going to take away from the vibes. And it's the same for me. The compliment is simply what? That I love letting go and letting God. And all of us, it's our destiny. Not we should or need to. This is our destiny, to become as we were created to be. It's nice when a musician can let go and do it there. It's nice when a speaker can let go and do it there. Our destiny is to do it in all areas. The people of ancient Lemuria that eventually became the people of Tibet, Nepal, the highlands, the Polynesian islands and so on, they got that because it was called sacred living, but they didn't have to call it that because there was nothing else. You didn't have to go, sacred verses. This is just all we are. So they were really coming from a beautiful place. Atlantis symbolized I, the little I, the ego I. I want something. I'm going to take over something. They're very aggressive civilization, but we're not going into a full talk about them. My point being, and we will someday, but my point being that these contrasts, when we came into this universe, we developed duality. Therefore, we ended up with Lemuria versus Atlantis. Not that Atlantis was always warring, but it gave us that other duality. One was the heart, one was the mind, the feeling, the thinking. And that's not ancient civilizations. We still do this. And Atlantis is rising again in the form of weird behaviors in people. Letting technology make your decisions for you. I mean, that's what the Atlanteans did. They became just, headstrong. Nazi Germany was a reincarnation of Atlantis. Technology, man, technology. So we have to change that. But what's going to change that? Well, there's something that I call a soul transformation process. Okay? A soul transformation process. Sorry, the opposite, Janine. Sorry, the opposite. All right? Soul transformation process. There's 5 stages of the soul transformation process. And everybody goes through this. Typically or generically, we can call this mini or major versions of the dark night of the soul. Now, one of you asked about clarity. Clarity, goodness and richness of life. Technically, it's supposed to be our default program, to come from a place living in great consciousness. That's our default program, supposed to be. When we developed an ego self, we gave it power of attorney to decide our default programs. So it changed the default program like a bad virus that gets into your computer, it changed the default program to something other than default goodness or deservability, the gifts of God, living the consciousness of God, and then experiencing the gifts or positive karma that would come from that. So instead, we started infiltrating these other programs, doubt and fear, shames and guilts, unworthiness. And the world just manifests it. So we can talk about the negatives of life, the negatives of the world, but all they're doing, which we think, is hard on us, inconvenient, even traumatic to us. But who's God? Computers, technologies? No. We're the ones who gave up our divinity and allowed other things to, kind of take over and run things. So when we choose not to step into our power is automatically then default, mind you, taken. And how insane we would have to be to allow an object to, it's crazy enough to give government your power, or medicine your power, or religion your power. But to give an inanimate object, let's see, people are pretty soon, they're going to be waking up go, how do I feel today? Didn't think I was feeling that, but now I am. Oh, okay. I mean, that doesn't make sense. It's like a person who's obsessed on negative versions of their astrological readings today in the newspaper. How am I feeling? Oh, okay. And go down with that, into a bummer. What you should do instead is, oh, my sign says, oh, what a bummer. Let me try another sign. I like that one. Prosperity abounds. Woohoo! That's what we can do. Say no. Anyway. So a lot of people lately, I've noticed, there's talk about going through challenges. And a lot of people are saying, I'm going through the dark night. Or they talk about challenges, and I say, it's very clear. This is unusual because I've written a book on the dark night of the soul, explaining how you get there, why you're there, and what to do while you're there. However, what's interesting is that some people, when people go through the dark night, it's pretty easy to figure out when that's happening. Intuitively, I can tell. I can also tell by what they're describing. But what's unusual right now is that the whole world is going through the dark night of the soul. This hasn't happened in decades. It's not that common. When I wrote that book on the dark night of the soul, I explained individuals can go through it, couples can go through it, families can go through it, groups can go through it, nations can go through it, races can go through it, and then even more rarely, the whole world. And the whole world is going through the dark night of the soul. And I saw this coming and predicted it a couple of years ago, and then it hits. Well, it doesn't do that much to predict it, really. Other than people go, wow, you predicted it. Well, how much good did that do? Did it prevent it from happening? Humans are just stubborn. They tend to like to learn the hard way rather than the easy way. We can learn the easy way. It's our there's not even any lessons we would need to learn if we live in the Tao, live in the way of God. But here we are. So it's interesting that some people are going, why do I feel like I'm in the dark night, but I'm not actually in the dark night? Nothing's changed, nothing horrendous has happened. So why do I feel like it? You know why? Because you're feeling the collective. You yourself might not be going through the dark night, but you're still feeling the dark night. Why? Because you're not just a you, you're a we. And we are going through the dark night. So the we that is you is taken with it. So if you're going through this, let this really land and say to yourself, okay, got it. Now, if anybody out there says, no, I'm absolutely not going through any transformation at all, any kind of dark night of the soul, you're wrong. All right? You're mistaken. You can't be part of us and not be going through it because we're going through it. That doesn't mean you need to be caught up in it. So if you're not feeling it much, how about owning this? That maybe you simply chose not to get caught up in it. And own that and be excited about that. Be grateful that you made healthy decisions in that regard. Nice job. Okay? So, if I'm not going through it individually, we are going through it collectively. However, I can add, I'm okay. Alrighty. A little warmer, please, Janine. Thanks. All right. So now, the stages of the dark night of the soul. Now, that's one name for it. We can also call it the soul transformation process. So some of you, dealing with the one key word that one of you shot out there was birthing. Don't birth yet. You can ask about birthing and I'll try to address birthing. But I want you to die first. Finish dying and die well. The only reason I or we can go through the dark night of the soul is when there's enough that needs to die of the old. Humans, they're so linear. Death is like bad, negative, and all that. No. So you have to have an accident that's extreme enough, a disease that's extreme enough to take you out of this lifetime. So just die well. Don't be a victim of the deaths of their world. Just step up and go, what do I need to let go of? If you don't have attachments to stuff that needs to be purged out of you, you won't be purged. But you will be tested to confirm that you're not attached to things. It's still going to happen here and there. So the world mirrors our consciousness. We know some of these things already, obviously, but the world mirrors our consciousness. So when we're going through a personal or collective dark night of the soul, if I'm going through a relationship dark night, a family dark night, children going through stuff, I'm still there. There's still something for me to do. And there's two things everybody must do when they're in the dark night of the soul. One, healing. It's like you're in the pits of hell. You might as well bring a magazine to read. Do something constructive. Bring a good book. If you're going to be in hell, do something while you're in hell. Well, how long am I in here? Eternally. Well, let me adapt to eternally. I'm going to get used to a tan because it's very fiery, Just go, figure out how you can go with it. But if you're in the depths, the steps are dismantling, emptiness or depression that comes from being dismantled, dismantling, emptiness, disorientation. Pause. That's as far as most human beings go. They usually get dismantled, feel empty or depressed from being dismantled. Then they start feeling disoriented. The average human being then quickly goes back to zero. Because they're going to say, I'm going to go and find my new job. I'm going to find my soulmate new relationship. If you're still screwed up, you won't get a better one. You've got to heal the old so that the old doesn't decide you're new. It's really beautiful and simple. But humans, man, no. They can say, you know what I'm going to do? Whenever that happens to me, because I saw a friend go through it, if that ever happens to me, I'm going to launch into a whole new life. You can't without doing your inner work. 12-step programs are 12 steps for a reason. It doesn't go, I'm going to start step 1, 12, done. God, I feel so clean and sober. There's something you've got to go through. Humility, soul searching, inventory. And that's what this whole process is about. The universe is saying to you individually or collectively at times, your soul wants to return to its true Christ divine self. You're dragging your feet. Your soul is saying, that's why you hear that saying, the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak. So the human part of me is like, no, I don't know. I'd like to just hang out and have problems a little longer. The soul is saying, won't it be nice when we return to oneness? And we're like, yeah, but I don't like some people. I don't want to be one with them. That's the human self. Nagging, complaining, wishing, hoping, and so on. The soul, spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So most people will never get, in their current crisis, most people will not get to 4 and 5, which is rebuilding a new life. You can't rebuild a new anything when the old is still there. So how much will you die of the old? How much will you let go? Well, let's look at the world. The world is going through a dark night of the soul. Now, I can tell you that when the pandemic hit, we started a dismantling. Things you thought you knew. You thought you could even buy toilet paper. And that died. So what I thought was life was changing. Crazy behaviors in the streets, on the TV, in the news, and everything was crazy. So I could take that like, oh my God, the world, or I could take it as, I need to prepare to die. Some of my old beliefs, my hopes, even spiritual people will find themselves surprised. We all think, we're all oming and chanting for the kingdom of heaven to be here. Look at people can't even get over toilet paper issues. And yet you think the human race is ready for a complete entrance into Eden? It's no. I mean, if I'm the bringer of bad news, I hope I'm not surprising you, But if people are fighting over toilet paper, really? Everything of the old has to die. Wait till food gets more scarce.
Yeah.
Jobs are becoming interesting and scarce. In some ways, for the better. Because a lot of people are realizing they didn't even like their job. And this is kind of making that obvious. But sadly, we go through the dismantling during that period. Months later, people started experiencing the emptiness. When that didn't happen too quickly and it sort of started continuing, pandemic, it's more than just 3 people, it's more than just 30 people, 300 people. Oh, whoa, now it's everywhere. Oh, look out. That was definitely launching people into the second stage of the soul transformation process. Or the dark night, depending on how you want to look at it. It is a dark night if you want to see it that way. But it's potentially a soul transformation process. When you're complaining, you're not transforming. So we can't obviously just say, hey, guess what? I'm going through a soul transformation. If all you do is hate and blame, it's a dark night of the soul. So we went through the first stage of the dark night, dismantling. Second stage, emptiness and depression over what we lost. This year, we're shifting into the third stage. You can see it because the third stage is disorientation. And you can tell when people are disoriented when they start going, wait, what happened? Where am I going now? When you start talking about the new job, the new partnership, the new something, you're not there. You're asking about it. You're disoriented. I don't know what job. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gay or straight. I don't know if I'm Catholic or Mormon or this. When people don't know anymore, that's disorientation. So I predicted it, I'm predicting it now, but it's also obvious if you just know the stages, right? You don't have to be a prophet, it's obvious. Read the signs. Be the shaman consciousness of what you're seeing and sensing sign-wise. So it's like, okay, I get this. Stage 4 or 5, when's that coming? No. When you're in disorientation, let go. Is the first half, let God is the second half of how to get to the bridge of faith that takes you into rebuilding a new life. I can tell you this and promise you this. You will not rebuild a new life without God. Nothing will be new without a new inspiration coming to you of your new life. Yes, we are part of God. But I don't want the little part of me that doesn't quite know my divinity to make my decisions. I'm going to surrender to the greater collective that is truly God, the ultimate God consciousness. And that level of humility is what takes you there, which I guess is going back to when we started. My doing talks and John, people, spontaneous music. It's fantastic. Or a parent that knows how to step in the zone and gets guidance on the yeses and nos and the proper things of boundaries for the kids. All of us are meant to be there. Going through this type of transformation is going to really test you to go there. Now, you're not going to get to 4 and 5 with the old self. So the first part of how to deal with the dark night is die of the old self. That means, guys, soul searching, humility. Looking at what makes me tick, addictions, compulsions, what hurts me, what frustrates me, things that I don't want to do anymore, jobs that I don't like, relationships that seem intolerable. Stop, breathe, forgive, but you can also leave and say no to some things. Clean house. Now, how much should you clean house? None of us in this room have the right to tell another how much they should clean house. I'll only tell you this. How much you clean will determine your new life. Now, that doesn't mean that I think you should become, where you sterilize all aspects of your life. I don't think it means that you have to go and put everybody on notice. Hey, there's going to be a new me, so I won't be needing none of you, so goodbye. You know, and then you just stay in your house, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for your ascension. And there's no beings watching over for you, going, oh, you want to take him? I don't want to take him. You know, so they just leave you alone because you're not doing your work. So there's no ascension, no new day tomorrow. So the overreaction of, you know, obsessing on how clean your life should be, that's not going to be helpful. You can tell, just watch. You can sit there and rate 0 to 10, your health, your finances, different parts of your life, and see, and if something comes up, bing, a flag comes up and you're a 2. If your relationship's a 2 and you didn't realize it. If your family life is a 2, a 3, and you didn't realize it. If job is a 1 or a 3, you didn't realize it. Oh man, that's hard. Oh, I see it though. This is challenging to own, but it's there. I see it. And I'm going to need to commit to making some changes. What changes? It doesn't mean you're all bad. It means I need to make some changes. Maybe I was in a job, maybe you're not very nice as my boss, but you know what? It's also that maybe I have a pattern of low self-worth, and so I end up in places where I'm not cared about or treated well. So don't just get there to identify everybody else's problems. Get there to recognize your own and your own patterns and propensities and tendencies so you can clear them. You know, now some people are going, that's work. That's exhausting. Stay as you are, and here's what happens. And this is what people usually do. They go from stage 3 back to 0, and they'll just get dismantled again with the same old lessons, same old issues, and the universe is so infinitely patient. The universe says, sweetheart, you can do 10,000 more lifetimes exactly as you are. We don't mind. To us, it's all a day. You know, and we're, you know, dear God, why did you let this happen? God's like, no habla inglés. I got nothing to do with your decision. You keep doing this to yourself. And then it's back to 0, pain, dear Lord, help me do it. And then you start the process, back to the little self again, and you just refuse to say, of myself, I am nothing. The old self must go. It must die. It's called reaching your pain tolerance, reaching bottom. But bottom is always where you decide it is. It's not something that's fated. Someone's going to decide where the lowest low is for you. You get to decide. So if my lowest low is on a 0 to 10 scale, 10 being stellar ascension consciousness, I can decide that a 6 is as low as I want to go and come up out of that. I don't have to get down to a 4, a 2, and so on. The more stubborn we are, the more belligerent, the more unforgiving we insist on being, the more we're going to get to bottom. Because unforgiving means things are going to blow up even bigger for us to see. And the universe isn't doing it like we think of karma, like something's getting you for this. The universe is saying, oh, beloved, you missed this when it was in a 25x magnification. Let's take it to a 1500. And you're walking down an aisle saying, I do, to somebody that's going to become the 1500 magnification of all your lessons and issues. So it doesn't help to complain about it. The world is going through a dark night of the soul. Or it can become a soul transformation process. If all I do is get to 3 and go back, it's not much of a soul transformation. It was an opportunity, and I didn't listen. So this is what the human race is going to need to do. Die well. But I need to tell you, you're not going to be able to help them. You're not going to be able to help them. Even though that sounds anti-spiritual, new agey, and all that. You're not going to be able to help them. They can't go there if they don't want to go there. What you need to do is help yourself. You need to start getting these two pieces together, which is die well. Don't ask them to die well. You die well. Be an example rather than a preaching kind of a person. Die well. What's the second piece? A new level of relationship with God. That's the piece. The first 3 steps of the process are to die well. The next 2 come from my tightening my relationship with God, Spirit. Now, there's some people out there that'll go, what do we call it? God, Spirit, Buddha, Jesus, and they make these all the same. They're not all the same. Once you start saying, well, my religion is to hang out on street corners and worship fire hydrants, it's not really It's not really a conscious being that can help you. Try to go to the highest. A teacher, a healer, all we can do is reflect the advice. Don't go to teachers, psychics, healers that do not go to source for their guidance. Otherwise, you're just getting opinions. They might even be good opinions, but their well will run dry for those who do not go to source. You can be a good psychic because you tend to be a good psychic for whatever past life stuff or family, genetic 5th generation psychic. That works well. But run on your own reserves and it will expire. I don't want one of them. I want a doctor, if I need a doctor, that knows how to plug in. I want a parent that knows how to plug in. If my parents didn't do that, then let me choose God as my parents. If I want counselors and the counselor, all they do is sit there and act like they're my girlfriend, my best friend, and they sit there and take notes. Oh, how was your weekend? How did that feel? Okay, see you next week. That's nice. That's nice for them. They probably should have plenty of clients that like to chat and not get anywhere. Yeah. But if it's me and that's my counselor, why? Why am I paying for you to chat? I want a sponsor. I want a counselor who really directs me into myself so I'm different every time I walk out of their room. The same if you go to a personal trainer at a gym. If they say, well, you don't seem like you're in the mood to work out. Why don't we sit down and have a little smoothie, fruit smoothie, and we'll just sit and watch people work out. No. Tell them, that was kind of nice, man, hanging out. Now that I've gained 10 pounds on fruit smoothies, I think I'm going to get a different trainer, though. You can thank them, love them, and hang out with them when you want to gain weight. But if you're a guest, I'm usually not like this, so sorry. This is really an odd day, I guess. No. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me. So, you could also say, it's not easy for me, but I'm going to ask for a sponsor that makes me do my homework more. I'm going to ask for a counselor. It's not easy. It isn't, because I got to look at myself. I've quoted before Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus says, when you get on the path and you start to do your work, the first thing you're going to feel is disturbed. Because it's inconvenient to look at your stuff. They don't make the 12-step programs and make the 12th step your inventory. You got to look at your stuff way back here. So, it's at first, it's disturbing to get on the path. And when we talk about the soul transformation process, we're going to call it, and include the final 2 pieces, there's dismantlings. There's emptiness that I go through. While I'm in the emptiness, let me look at my patterns of emptiness. Let me see why I was so attached to what was dismantled that it bothered me so much. That could be a relationship leaves, and I didn't ever imagine. When I said I do, I thought I was going to be married forever. It ends, and you go through darkness. But it's not darkness eternally. It's just emptiness because you got dismantled. So now I think I need to do more inner work where I never again put all of myself in another person where I can get dismantled this way. You see, does that make sense? See what I'm saying? Stop putting it on so much on people. Even the world we live in. Or a certain person you were hoping to win an election and they don't win. You're voting for your team to win the Super Bowl and they don't win and you go into a pit. You had an attachment, you got dismantled. Next, disorientation. Well, I was a big baseball fan and my team lost. And we all thought it was a miracle. It was the first time they went to the World Series. And I thought my team was going to win. And everybody locally we had prayer circles. And we thought for sure God was on our side. God liked one team better than another, especially if our team's called the Angels. Of course. Right? That's a no-brainer. It's all synchronized. It's all perfect in alignment. God, us, prayer circles, the angels are in the World Series. God's going to win because God's supposed to win. That's exactly when God's going to go, I have an idea. The angels are going to get wiped out. They're going to lose every game. And people, You know, and now they take angels off their wall in their house and they put them in a box and send them to Goodwill or whatever. I can't believe it. You're being dismantled. You're feeling empty. You play some depressing music while you're taking all your angels off your altar, and I don't believe in angels anymore. And it's funny to put it this way: when you have a loved one die, the angels didn't come through for you. That's a dismantling. And you feel empty, and you can't live if living is without them. That's emptiness. And that's this world right now. People are like, loved ones died. Millions have died. All right? Or whatever number they're up to now. So people don't know what to do. Mask? No mask. It was partly, first look at why it bothers you to wear masks. Well, I don't want to be told what to do. Oh, well, let's look at that. You know? Wearing a mask for some people, it's not just a mask. There's no mask. It's an illusion. Why is a child of God upset? I'm not upset. You know? And they walk around going, stupid. It just reminds me of my father always controlling me. And past lives religion. I was a Catholic 5 lifetimes ago. And they used to tell us that we had to wear habits. And this is just part of my habit. Just... Can I hear an amen? Oh, yes, Jesus. Okay, so... process. I know it's a drag, but process. So now while you're driving and you're at work or whatever, the grocery store, you wear the mask and you go, oh man, this brings up this and this. Look at it. And just what you just did, laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself. You know, people look at you, go, oh, you okay? You have tears in your eyes. That's because this is hilarious. You know, I'm laughing so hard, I'm crying because, oh my God. You know, and it is kind of funny, you know, people, you know, and then every so often they go, and then it's kind of funny because, you know, the best way to stay safe is to suffocate, you know. This is so weird. I hope I'm addressing your question. While I'm in the darkness, I gotta watch for my addictions and compulsions, my reactions to people and things, the mask and what it brings up. Look at it. Then all of a sudden you realize, I know the truth, but I'll respect the illusion. And they're asking for masks. I don't care. Put one on. You know, or not put one on. Whatever. You're in a different world. You're following it. You're in the world, but not of the world. But remember, the no attachment lesson you're going to get if you have the attachments. So if you say, I'm not going to wear a mask because I'm just so close to God. So I'm going to show everybody that my immunity comes from the Lord. Well, tell them when you see them, if you get sick, don't blame. Don't blame and say, wait, I thought that I didn't need a mask because the Lord was, and the Lord's going, yeah, and I'm here. See me? Hi. Bye. Back to earth. And, you know, you'll come into some other incarnation where they have to wear full face shields or whatever. You know, you'll be an astronaut of some kind. You know, on some planet, you know, kind of, you know. Anyway, so, this is your fault. His music did something. No. Yeah, right? Let's blame. So I get it, and if you have cancer, do I do chemo? Do I not? Do the one you're going to live with quietly. If you do it and blame that it didn't go well, you had an attachment, you're being dismantled, now you're feeling emptiness, blaming, and then you're going to be disoriented. I should have done what I shouldn't have done, blah, 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 back to zero, and here you go again. Do what you know you can fully do. If you don't wear a mask and you get a disease, if you wear a mask and you get the disease, die well. You know, oh well. I mean, really, be at peace. Don't blame and shame. Well, I thought the government said, why are you listening to them? So be advised that the more we follow the unholy trinity, science and religion and government, the more you're going to get dismantled. I mean, they're the unholy trinity, man. None of them believe in God. None of them believe in God. I know religion, you go, well, no, yes, they do. No, they don't. They I know they talk about God. I'm not talking about individuals in the religions that really do believe. I'm talking about the institutions. They don't really believe. If they really believe, they would have more of a process of introducing you to that God. They don't know that God. They can't introduce you to that God. And they'll shame you if you decide you find a way to do it. You know, yeah, that's fine. You know, one of my kids, I remember when my kids, when no other school would have them, I don't know why. I don't know why. When no other school would have them, they ended up in a Catholic school for, I think, 2 years. And, you know, and I would get called into Mother Superior's office all the time. You know, and it would be like, your daughter keeps talking about seeing angels around the teacher and telling the other kids, don't you see it, Tell your, I'm like, how weird is this? I'm at a church-oriented school and they're telling her they don't believe in this, that, you know, she's nuts or something, you know. So the religions don't really believe in it. That's why they're an institution, not an experience. Every religion has a mystic component. Every religion, the Sufism is a mystic component of one. You know, Christian mystics are part of another. In Kabbalah, it's in another. They all have a mystical component, but the institutions, the third dimensional ones, they don't get that. Let's let that be, because they're supposed to be taking care of the letter of the law, so let them be. But for your experience with God, you won't get it from the letter of the law. You get it from the surrendering and the calling in the new. So what I can say about this is, where do you think we're going? Do you see science, religion, government doing what I said, dying of the old? I don't see that. I hope you do. I'm not seeing that. Do you see humility? Do you see let's say government. Do you see government officials going, I see what's happening. We're supposed to be letting go of our old opinions. We're supposed to be letting go of hatreds and having parties, I guess they call it, left and right kind of things. I don't hear a lot of them saying that. They will when it gets leveled more and more and more and more. Eventually the pain tolerance, then they're going to say, we need to get back to God. But they can't, because someone else is complaining about what the name of God. Which religion? You're wrong again. It isn't the religion. Whatever works for you, like John Lennon's song, whatever gets you to the light is all right. So I don't see that happening, which tells me we're going to go, the race is going to go back to zero and then have to get dismantled again. It's not going to be decades away like this one was from the last. Within 10 years or so, another wave of dismantlings, and it's never going to stop. It's going to be 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, constantly. Until it's constant. And that's what your book of Revelation describes. All that endings and turmoil. All it is us being stubborn. Now, I'm not going to be able to make everybody on the planet not be that way. But I start here. My advice to you, work on yourself, get into your soul searching clear and clean. Let's call this, everybody listening to this, this is a team of people that wants to do it differently. So let's do it right. Do your soul searching, do your house clearing. Consistently, not once and not obsessively, just consistently do your soul searching. Secondly, create a tighter relationship with God. Start and end every morning with, God, and every time, and now and then throughout. With God. I don't care if you're calling it spirit, God, oneness, but with what you know to be God. Absolute humility. The surrendering process. Being able to walk around your house talking to God. And make it personal. Make it like Jesus says, call him Abba, because he's as close as your own father, let's say. This is my creator. I've never been separate other than in my mind. So let me talk to God as though I'm right here and it's right here. Because it is. So, oneness, God. Okay, got it. Jesus, whatever's going to work for you. But try to make it the highest. Don't take it all the way down to your inner, Michael Mirdad. It's go to God. Don't make it your teacher. Don't make it your author. Get to God. As best you can. The higher you go, the better off you're going to be. go into the depths during this part, the healing part, the soul searching part, this gardening, I sometimes call it, getting all the weeds and rocks out of there. Do that as deep as you can, do this as high as you can, and you're good to go. I would recommend that you do this, and when you do, you are having an effect in the world, but through osmosis. I can't change your process, but I can change me, and then what it does is filters into everybody else. That's how I can make a difference.
You're doing it now.
Thank you. Secondly, work with the highest groups you find, like attending here or whatever. Go to, try not to settle, but get involved with the highest groups you find online, your teachers or whatever you find to be helpful. Make that a part of your life. Otherwise, you're just going to get dismantled. You won't understand what's happening. You'll feel even emptier. You're going to get into disorientation, where you're going to get into compulsions and addictions. Because when you're in disorientation, which makes you feel like you're not in control, that's what disorientation also looks like. I don't feel like I'm in control of my life. Perfect. You know what I need? A drink. Because I need to cope with not feeling in control. I need another injection. I need another, three-dimensional program to get excited about. And it's fine. I'm not judging those. They must not be your God. They must not be your go-to program. You tried it. They didn't help. They didn't save you, those things of this world. Back to zero, how many times? How many times do I have to do it? Stop. House cleaning, surrender to the greatest, highest. Let yourself do your work, but find groups that are of the highest as well. Then my individual work is going to have an effect, and my collective work with groups is going to have an obvious collective effect. Make sense? Okay. Please take a few centering breaths. If you want to just dance, some minutes, and I'll play off that. A few centering breaths, letting go. You're not going to fix them. Let the dead bury the dead. Krishna said it. Jesus said it. Let the dead bury. It sounds so insensitive. What it means is, those who don't want to be awake, let them be on let them do their thing. You work on your awakening, and you will trigger theirs. If you obsess on their dead consciousness, their stubbornness, then you will sink with them. So right now, beginning some deep, relaxed breathing, relief. I don't have to carry them. I don't have to rescue them. But I'm not better than them. I have permission to let go. Meditation for a minute or two, please just let it be about letting go of the past. Patterns, programs, opinions, letting go. Let go of your religions of the past, politics of the past, so that in a minute or two we will have committed to emptying our cup. Tendencies, compulsions, addictions, goodbye. There are no others to judge, to save, to rescue. There are no others. And there's nothing but God. Beloved Father, Mother God, I recognize I and we have been going through challenging processes that could be called dismantling. I also accept this is bigger than I thought. This isn't a pandemic. This isn't a mask. This isn't an instance, a circumstance. This is our total global transformation that's trying to take place. I get it. I accept it. And third, rather than reacting, I surrender onto the altar all that I would have tried to cling to, emptying my heart and soul. Empty, I'm now ready to step forward. I know that on a deeper level, I bring all humanity with me. But if they're not choosing literally, that's fine. I choose right now to take the step forward into rebuilding a new life, but not of my little self. I humbly ask you, Father, Mother God, guide me into rebuilding a new life. Let it be your decisions that guide my day to day, my thoughts, words, and deeds. Guide me forward. And together we rebuild a new life, which will be reflected in a new world. Thanks, Father, Mother God. Even before I see the results of the change, I know the truth. And the truth is, when I step in and call upon you, it's impossible for you to not fill my life with your gifts. Now comes greater health, wealth, wisdom, greater parenting, partnership skills, greater everything that I am. You guide me to my new job. Help me to heal the compulsion to make myself find one and a partnership and all these sacred things of planet Earth, the false idols. Show me the real. Show me my soul. Show me my soul mates, my soul's purpose, my true health and vitality when I live in the light of God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My heart is full with gratitude that we're turning what was a dark night, personally and or globally, into a soul transformation process. Thank you. Thank you to myself for listening to the call to be here and listen today to something that could be so meaningful. This isn't just an average day. The universe sees what we're going through. The world is going through a death and a rebirth. The world is being reincarnated to a new level. But it can't be a new level if we carry too much of the ballast, the weight, the old level. I refuse to think of genders, races being all different and at conflict with one another. It's impossible in God, therefore, it's impossible in me. I choose the way of God. And I give thanks. Very slowly reacclimate to the room, but do not be abrupt with it. Just do it slowly enough to where you know you're taking the experience into the world. You're not cutting and leaving it. You're bringing it forward. If I do it too fast, I might disconnect from it. So no, I step back, breathe it in again, bring it with you. So thoroughly, so viscerally. Slowly reacclimating. Good, 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 good. Thank you. Thank you, John. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Mm.
You certainly are.
Yeah, thank you. Remember, everything. It's not one category needs to change. People stand around and try to push politics to change. They try to push religion to change. They try. Stop. You're not going to change it. It needs to die. All the old forms have to die. Genetics is another belief system. It has to die. Oh, well, now I don't want certain genetics to go. I don't mind some genetics. Let's let the cancer gene go, but I want to keep my hair. Stop. The genetics, let them die and take on the genes of God. Be gods and goddesses, like your divinity genes instead of human ones. No, but I really like this one thing about myself. Then you're still attached. It's going to have to be dismantled. What you don't let go of will get dismantled. So why not step in and participate? All categories have to be done differently. We have to bring sacredness to everything. We can still have gatherings and not have them be done the old way. You can still have health and fitness and vitality, but just not done the old way. Maybe not with the obsessiveness to it or the fault finding to it. People going, oh, I've had children and now I gained him out. I'm going to go and run every day to. You're already judging something and trying to get rid of it. Be at peace. It's okay. It doesn't matter. If aging, you lose a couple teeth, you lose some hair. It's fine. Change your name, Jack-O-Lantern. That's your spirit name. I moved to Sedona and called myself Jack-O-Lantern. It's all right. Come on. Take some love for your new body. When you say, oh, but I wish I had, you're not in the moment. But if you have to wish that you had the body you had when you were 20-something, 30-something, it's going to get dismantled. All limiting belief systems have to die. I'm not being pessimistic. They have to die because they're limited. You say you wanted more divinity, that would be called unlimited. So the limited parts have to die. Everything made sacred. Music, how I listen to music. Dance, how I choose to dance. How I parent. Everything done differently. And that includes sexuality. It includes relationships. If you try to extract something like sexuality, you're just going back to being a nun like in another lifetime you lived. Don't leave no stone unturned. Sacredness to every category. When we bring enough sacredness to every category, everything will be sacred. And that's back to Eden. Okay? I appreciate you all, just sharing so deeply your thoughts, your feelings, the vibes, the questions. Because what I do is a play off of divine guidance, the collective needs at the moment, and then my own whatever is happening as a channel or whatever, So I appreciate everybody's contribution. Obviously, very deep people drawn to this kind of an experience. It's just beautiful. And the music, yeah. Did you bring a table of products?
All my stuff is online.
Okay, so where to find it?
JohnDumas.com.
JohnDumas, DUMAS.com is the website. Please go and to be supported, but also to add to your sacred music collection. JohnDumas.com, and there's downloadable tunes there. All right? All right? All right. Thank you. Please stand for our closing song. God bless us, everyone. Such a great vibe, isn't it? God bless you and thank you. Any support, your prayers, your donations, anything you can do to keep supporting this. We don't have any grandiose things that we do financially. We don't have any grandiose plans that you're funding. Whenever you give donations, it's financing this. Okay? That's what it's doing. This thing that we're doing. More comforts outside. We need to put up a fence outside here to quarter off the backyard area. So we have some things like that are still needed, and it's thousands of dollars. So that's what we do. We do it to upgrade the sound system. We use the funds to create the patio we did. It's more and more to create a nice space for us all. So just know that every bit that you donate, it's going for really, really practical and good things that we're doing here. All right? All right. God bless. We just tune into the gratitude. Gratitude. Amazing sharing today. Amazing group. Shared laughter. People online from around the world. This is amazing. Grateful. Just this peaceful place that we're creating together. Even this unity of Sedona is co-creating a new life with God. It's going over the bridge and co-creating a new life. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we go, God is, I am, and we are, and so it is. God bless you. Thank you so much.